I'll probably get some backlash for my answer. So December marks my 1-year anniversary of when I really committed to Pilates as my main form of exercise. And since it's right around the corner, I decided to make this video just sharing what I've learned over the past year about the benefits of Pilates and how it affected my overall health personally. So what exactly is Pilates? I would describe Pilates as a very holistic approach to exercise. It predominantly focuses on strengthening the core, which in Pilates we refer to as the powerhouse, but it also focuses on improving strength, flexibility, posture, breathing, and just overall body awareness. Pilates was founded on 6 fundamental principles of exercise. Now, there are more movement principles that have been added over the years, depending on what literature you read. For example, in my teacher training program that I'm currently going through, we have 10, but really the 6 core principles are where it all started. So the first one is breathing. Proper breathing techniques are really just crucial in Pilates. So Joseph Pilates believed that deep controlled breathing was essential for oxygenating the blood as well as for revitalizing the body. The next one is centering. The core, often referred to as the powerhouse, is really the center of all movements in Pilates. A strong core is vital for stability and balance, and it is the main focal point. Then there's concentration. In Pilates, you need to be fully present and mindful during each movement. Concentrating on your body and breath is essential just for getting really the most out of your Pilates practice. The next one is control. Pilates emphasizes the idea of having full control over your body's movement. So it's not about rushing through the exercises, but really about executing them with perfect precision. Next, there's flow. Movements in Pilates are meant to flow smoothly from one exercise to the next, and the goal is really just to create a sense of grace and fluidity in all of your actions and all of your movements. Then there's precision. Precision is key in Pilates. Each exercise is designed with very specific movements and alignments to target particular muscle groups effectively. And the more precise you are with each exercise, the more you'll really benefit from each of the movements. To really appreciate what Pilates is, you kind of have to have an understanding of the history of Pilates. It was created by a guy named Joseph Pilates. He was a German fitness enthusiast. He was born in 1883, so quite a while ago. And as a child, Joseph struggled with a lot of health issues. He had asthma, he had rickets, he had a sunken chest, but he was also really determined to improve his physical condition. And it was this determination to strengthen and rehabilitate his own body that led him to develop Pilates. He drew inspiration from various exercise methods that he practiced himself, such as yoga, gymnastics, bodybuilding, boxing, martial arts. So he pulled from all of these to develop Pilates. He was actually imprisoned in an English internment camp for German nationals during World War I. And it was there that he used his Pilates methods to rehabilitate the soldiers that were also with him in this camp. And he even would pull springs from the beds in the camp, and he positioned them above the hospital beds to create resistance exercises for some of the bedridden soldiers. So this is actually where popular Pilates apparatuses like the Reformer and Cadillac sort of evolved from. Now, he eventually moved to the United States after the war, and he and his wife Clara opened the first Pilates studio in New York and began teaching his Pilates method, originally referred to as Contrology, to the general public. Pilates' rehabilitative properties and focus on whole body health really attracted a lot of the local dancers, actors, and celebrities. So if you have some dance background or you've been to a ballet class per se, you'll notice some ballet influence in many of the Pilates exercises as well as the Pilates stretches. Now let's talk about the exercises and apparatuses. So when a lot of people think of Pilates, they think of the Reformer, but actually classical Pilates centers around 34 fundamental mat exercises. So Joseph Pilates created most of the apparatuses you see today, such as the Reformer, Cadillac, ladder, barrel, chair, etc., really in order to help facilitate students to properly learn and execute the 34 original mat exercises, as well as to enhance the exercises. Now we'll talk about the benefits. So I could probably write an entire book just on the benefits of Pilates, but here are what I think are some of the main ones based on what I've experienced in my personal practice. The first one is core strength and toning. So like I mentioned earlier, Pilates' main focus is really on strengthening the core. And if this is your goal, I don't think you'll find a better training method than with Pilates. It's also just really great for toning the muscles because I feel like it targets a lot of the smaller muscle groups that a lot of other training methods just tend to neglect. Pilates is really helping me personally learn how to engage my abs properly. It's something I'm still working on. I just feel like with my bodybuilding background and lifting really heavy for so many years, I picked up this really bad habit of flexing my abs outward, and I'm having to relearn how to properly engage my abs, and Pilates just really places a huge focus on engaging the transverse abdominis and pulling the abs inward really throughout the whole class. And I just think this creates the appearance of a flatter stomach. Number two is flexibility and mobility. So Pilates workouts incorporate a lot of stretching and a lot of exercises that really lengthen the muscles. It also incorporates a lot of mobility work, and I've noticed for my own body, my flexibility has increased significantly over the past year, and I feel like it's now very similar to actually how it was in high school when I was really into dancing and cheerleading. And my muscles just feel much more limber, and my body just feels so good and just so relaxed every single day. Number three is muscle building. So if you're new to my channel, just to put things into context, I compare Pilates a lot to bodybuilding, and that's just because I was really into lifting heavy for many years. I was a total gym rat, and so a lot of my following found me because they have a very similar background. But if you want to watch more on that, you can watch this video linked above. While Pilates' main focus isn't muscle building in the way that bodybuilding is, it does incorporate bodyweight resistance as well as resistance training with props, apparatuses, springs. So this can really help increase muscle endurance as well as muscle tone. So I find that you'll build long, lean muscles, which I love because combined with proper diet, I feel like it creates a very defined and very sculpted appearance without the appearance of bulkiness. Next is posture improvement. While I can't say I know if Pilates actually increases height, I don't think that physically it does. However, because it puts a lot of emphasis on postural work, I often just feel like I grew a couple of inches after I complete a Pilates workout. And I've noticed just a huge difference in how I carry myself. So in my head, I think it just makes me look taller. And Pilates also includes a lot of spinal work. So it can really help align your spine and can reduce strain on a lot of the muscle joints that surround the spine, which also really contributes to better posture and giving you the appearance of looking taller. Finally, there's the mental health aspect. So I just feel significantly less stressed now that I've made Pilates a regular part of my day. And I started this journey actually in a major depression. I had recently lost my dad, whom I was really close with, and I also had injured my knee, and there was just a lot going on mentally for me. And Pilates focus on mindful movement as well as on controlled breathing. It's like a form of therapy and like a form of meditation for me. And I just feel like it's a great way to clear your head, to get those happy endorphins going while simultaneously getting just a very amazing workout. Can you lose weight with Pilates? So this is probably one of the more common questions I get asked, and I'll probably get some backlash for my answer. It's not going to be like the sexy answer that everyone wants to hear. And before I do answer, if the word diet or calories triggers you, I would say stop watching the video right now. Now, having said that, yes, you absolutely can lose weight with Pilates. I am living proof of that. If you've been following my journey, I've been tracking my weight as well as my body fat percentage both of which have gone down, but, and it's a big but, okay, in order to do that, you do need to be in a calorie deficit. And you know, I just feel like so many people nowadays, they're looking for this magical exercise program where you can eat whatever you want and lose a ton of weight. And I see a lot of false promises on social media regarding this, but the human body just doesn't work that way. So really my answer is you can lose weight with Pilates or you can gain weight with Pilates. It's totally your choice, and it's the combination of Pilates with your diet that is really going to determine what happens, and it's going to be that same answer no matter what form of exercise you choose. Now, having said that, I do think Pilates shapes the body in a very different and very beautiful way than, say, bodybuilding or running or HIIT training or whatever form of activity you choose, but that's probably just another video in and of itself. So for now, I'll get off my soapbox and let's move on. Is Pilates expensive? I feel like it can be, but it doesn't have to be. There are really options to fit any budget at this point. I've been all over the board with this too. My very first exposure to Pilates was actually private lessons many years ago, and for the past year I had a really low budget, so that's why I was really focused on mat workouts at home. And currently I'm taking group classes at the same studio that I'm doing my teacher training program through. So I mean, I've really just done it all, and I like all of the options, and I think they all have really unique benefits. So let's kind of break that down. So firstly, there's private lessons. This is the most expensive way to do Pilates. On average, you're probably going to pay about $100 per session, give or take. And what I love about private lessons is that you just get that one-on-one time with a Pilates instructor, so you can really focus on improving your technique, really down to the very details. It's going to be customized to what you need to work on. And if you're new to Pilates, just learning what proper technique really is. What's also cool is that if you go to a studio that has a Cadillac, it's a lot of fun and not something that you'll typically see used in group classes or at home, of course. And there are just a lot of other apparatuses as well that you'll get exposure to that you may otherwise not. So that can be a lot of fun. And I also feel like for me personally, private lessons really helped me to grasp the fundamentals of Pilates and really provided a great foundation for my practice. And of course the downside is the cost. I mean, depending on the stage of life that I've been in, it just wasn't always an option. But if you can afford it, I do recommend at least doing a few private lessons so you can really learn proper Pilates technique. Next, there's group classes at a studio. So this is definitely less costly than private lessons. So it's gonna range, I would say on average, anywhere from $150 to $300 per month. And they're usually sold in packets of 4, 8, maybe 12 classes, or some of them, like the one that I go to, they have an unlimited membership where you just pay a monthly fee and you can go to as many classes as you want. The main apparatus you're probably going to use is the reformer. Some studios have like mat only classes depending on their style. My studio also uses the chair a lot as well as the springboard, so it just really depends on what studio you go to. What I really like about group classes is you get exposed to a variety of instructors and styles of Pilates, and I think the environment can just really be a lot of fun because you get to meet a lot of women that have the same love and passion for Pilates. So you get that connection with like-minded people that I think a lot of times nowadays we're just missing with this work-at-home culture that we live in. And that can be really just very motivating as well as help keep you accountable. Finally, there's mat workouts at home. Now, this is the lowest cost option by far. If you can afford to buy a mat, you can afford to do Pilates at home. And there are just so many really great free Pilates workouts on YouTube from excellent instructors. And if you need structure, most of them even offer like a subscription service. So you just pay like a small monthly fee and you're able to get a daily workout schedule. So I love that. From the ones I reviewed, I would say you're gonna pay about $15 to $35 per month. So it's very reasonable. I've reviewed quite a few programs over the past year, so I'll link that playlist below if you want to check that out. And I really think mat Pilates is one of the most fun style of Pilates. I have a couple of friends that feel the same way, and that's like kind of all that they want to do. And also, I think some people just don't feel comfortable working out in a group setting, so this is a great option that really almost anyone has access to. And I also find there are a lot of props that you can utilize at home to get a lot of the same effects that you would get from apparatuses like the reformer, and people have gotten really creative with props. So there are ankle weights, there's the magic circle, the Pilates ball, people even use their socks. So there are really just endless budget-friendly options that won't break the bank and that are really effective for leveling up your workout. Is doing Pilates at home effective? So I did Pilates at home for most of this past year, and it was really only recently when I started my teacher training to become a certified Pilates instructor that I started actually doing the reformer workouts again, which that was like around 2 to 3 months ago that I started that. So in this past year, I've lost inches off my body, I've lost numbers off the scale, and my body fat percentage, which I've been tracking with DEXA scan, that's like the gold standard of tracking body fat, it has also dropped. Now, on top of all of these aesthetic results, my body just feels better, and my mental health and overall happiness, it's just like really in a place that I haven't been in such a long time. So I can pretty confidently say that doing Pilates at home on a mat is extremely effective, and matter of fact, I believe in it so much that I literally sold my insurance business this year and decided to go all in and become a Pilates instructor and really just dedicate the rest of my career to Pilates. So I also asked all of you if you have any questions about my 1-year journey. So now I'm going to answer a couple of your questions. What, if anything, surprised you most about doing Pilates for a year? Do you intend to keep doing it as your main form of exercise? Looking forward to the video. So the first thing that comes to mind, which is kind of like probably not an answer you're expecting, is I actually totally became a morning person through this 1-year journey, and it kind of partially has to do with Pilates and partially because of my dog, but I can say without a doubt that I'm like officially a morning person. Like, I've been very consistent with doing Pilates in the morning. I wake up between 5:30 and 6 o'clock, and I just was never ever even close to a morning person. So that is really surprising and really unexpected, and not even something that I was necessarily like intentionally planning on doing. And I definitely will keep doing Pilates as my main form of exercise. Not only do I think it's very effective, I just feel like it's what I enjoy the most. So of course anything can change. I'm sure I've said that about many things in my lifetime, but as of now, I do plan on keeping it as my main form of exercise. Do you find yourself being in a plateau since you have been consistent with Pilates, or do you just need to keep switching up the Pilates exercises? Pilates is my preferred workout, but don't want to hit a plateau. Hoping you can create a workout we can all follow. Thank you. I think there's like a couple of ways I can answer this, because you can certainly hit a plateau as far as your progress with weight loss and fat loss, and then there's just like kind of plateauing with the difficulty. I find that like with some exercise programs, it can just start to feel really easy. So I'll talk about both. So as far as weight loss and fat loss, I definitely did hit a plateau myself, and it directly correlated with the way that I was eating. And I can say that with 100% certainty. When I first started going back to reformer classes, I was also, like with our in-studio days, we sometimes work out all day, like all Saturday, all Sunday. And so there was a period of time where I was working out a lot, and I had just started that and I wasn't used to it. So I was really, really hungry. And I actually just stopped focusing on my diet altogether, and I was eating in a major calorie surplus, and I actually gained weight even though I was doing more Pilates. So that's why I really want to emphasize diet is so important. Like, if you want to keep losing weight, you have to be in a deficit. If you want to maintain you have to be at your maintenance calories, and if you've eaten a surplus, you'll certainly gain weight. As far as the difficulty of the movements and just feeling challenged, I personally don't think it's possible to ever get to a place where I'm not going to feel challenged with Pilates, because there are just so many progressions and so many variations of the different exercises that I just don't think you're going to hit a plateau to where everything feels easy with Pilates. Like, the more advanced moves are extremely hard, and on top of that, you can always add resistance, you can add props. There's so much you can do to make those moves even harder. So I don't think I'll ever get bored, and I don't think I'll ever get to a place where I feel like I've plateaued on the difficulty of the movements. So overall, I think if you're consistent with your practice and that you really focus on the quality of your diet and the goals that you're trying to achieve, I don't think you'll hit a plateau. Now, I do think with diets and calorie deficits, there is a point where maybe it's not good to be in a calorie deficit anymore. Maybe it won't work for you if you've kind of hit the body weight that your body should be at, and that's a healthy body weight. So there are all those things that you want to factor in as well. I hope this helped answer some of your questions. If you have any more questions, put them in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye, everyone.